Am I on?
Sound check.
He told me he has the power, he can turn me off. Oh, Jimmy. I have my talk already, and then you start singing that, and all these other things start coming in my head. Let's see, this month is about vibe. V-I-B-E, which I love that word. It feels so alive and so cool. And I was thinking about how to explain why those words were important that we came up with this month. We had vibration, intelligence, we had breathing, and we had expansion. And those with a lot of other words are really characteristics of consciousness when you think about it. So let's take a look at the different ones. Vibration. Vibration is frequency, vibration is energy. That is all consciousness, and consciousness is all that. Consciousness has intelligence. No matter what it is, it knows how to do it. The consciousness of that chair knows how to be a better chair than I do. The consciousness of each of us knows how to be the best us. It has intelligence. So when John is talking about talking to her neck knows how to be a better neck than she does. It's important to realize that every consciousness is separate and we're all connected. We're the carpet, we're the roof, we're the car, we're the tree. That there's connection and there's intelligence, and we can interact and communicate with that. It's important because it gives us a realization that my being alive makes a difference, that we all make a difference and that we all interconnect, and it takes all of it. Then we look at B for breath, breathing. I think of consciousness as like an in-breath and out-breath of source. That as source breathes, we expand and we become more. And we're, whatever that is, as we become more and change. And I've never had words to describe it. I can only say more. It's more than my limited words. But I want to talk about how do we recognize within ourselves how our consciousness has changed. How do we know that what we're doing makes a difference? We talk about individual responsibility. We talk about prayer work. We talk about meditation. We talk about healing. We talk about working with emotions. And when you do all of that, how do you know you're getting anywhere? How do you measure somehow or quantify for your mind that it's worth keeping doing? Because sometimes it's hard work. Sometimes it seems like it's going on forever. But we had an example this week that will show everyone in this room where their consciousness is. We all mirror each other. We all come together and see ourselves in the person there. If we didn't have it in us, we could not recognize it around us. We wouldn't even see it. It would be a different frequency, and it's like driving down the street and all of a sudden you drive down that corner that you've been going down every day and there's a whole building that we weren't paying attention. We only really pay attention to what we have within us. So think about the experiences you had this week and what they tell you about you and where you are. Betty talked about all the wonderful things that happened. Could we have seen those if we didn't have it in us? Just think of the consciousness. The fire had a consciousness. The wind had a consciousness. How did they interact? The fire let the wind blow it around Oakhurst so that we didn't get hurt. We lost a few structures. It all worked together. The fire worked with the firemen and the wind so that the propane tanks didn't go up. We created that. That wind and that fire showed us what we have inside of us. They were true to themselves. Fire has to burn. Wind has to blow. But they did it with a minimum amount of damage. The forest will grow back. We'll recover. We didn't lose any lives. 2 firefighters were hurt. That's a wonderful thing, and there was a chance for a lot of damage. There was a truck on 620 that blocked the road for 7 hours so people couldn't get out. There was trouble getting out and people trying to save things and those that didn't want to leave. But none of those were hurt. It all worked with us in a way that was true to themselves, but loving and caring and willing to share with us and support us. It was what you'd call a miracle when you think about it. If those propanes had taken a mile, half a mile, would have been flattened. It would have harmed a lot of people. I was listening to the scanner the first day of the fire, and I actually met one of the firemen at Maggie's place that this applies to. They were coming into town from, they were like Arizona and Monterey, these crews coming from everywhere to take care of us, to protect us. They would come in and they'd be at a stoplight or at an identifiable place, and they're calling to see where to go. These guys were from Monterey. They told them where to go, and they had to go up this mountain over here. They came from wherever they were, they drove over here, and they immediately jumped into the fire, and those guys worked till 3 a.m. before they got any rest, food, or water, or anything. That's what we attracted to take care of us and to protect us. If we hadn't healed enough, if we didn't have enough love, all of us, our community, that would not have happened. Maggie's property, they had to she got a big chain and a big lock on it. And she's up on the hill above 425A, that piece of property she has up there. They had to cut her chain. Do you know what they did to protect against looters? Some fireman took his shoelace off and put that back and tied it so you couldn't tell it had been cut. I asked the fireman about the looters. He said they'll catch everybody. He said everybody watches. We know it happens. The cops are out there checking it. Every law enforcement officer is out looking. They're sharing information. They protect us in the best way that they can. I talked to a guy at Old Corral. A policeman was going by there every 5 minutes during the week when they were evacuated, checking on it. We created this, people. We are this loving that people were willing to put their lives on the line and then go further to do a loving, caring thing that protected us afterwards. If we didn't have this in us, we wouldn't have manifested that. The Oakhurst Fire Relief website, within a day they had something like 1,300 people on that site. You couldn't believe it. It would bring tears to your eyes. Where do I take it? How do I help? Where do I take the water? What clothes do you need? Who needs someplace to go? All of that outpouring from everyone in this community that we helped create because we're a part of it. We have a community consciousness that's loving and sharing. We do fundraisers up here like nobody's business. You don't see as many service organizations. They're talking about in the future, do we even need them? But up here, what were you guys? It was your Lions Club was down at Supernaws making burritos for people that didn't have anybody to go for breakfast. All of those things gifted. Stella and Angie went to the store and bought eggs and stuff. Everybody participated in a way to help and make a difference. That's what we each have inside of us. That's what we are. It went on and on. Angie and Stella went to the town hall meeting at Bass Lake. When the fire chief over there was upset with himself because he'd lost a structure. And his job is to protect and defend. They took it personally. They cared about us. They've been out monitoring. They didn't do a half-assed job and get out of town because they wanted to go home. And granted, they're being paid for it. But we all know that you don't have to give your best just because you're being paid for something. These people gave us more than their best. And that is what we are. So when we look at, do we want to pray? Do we want to meditate? Do we want to heal? I'm telling you, yeah, we want to do that. It makes a difference. We meditate for peace on earth. If we're not doing these things that show us we can have this in our world, how can we have peace? It's because the world is in us. We're helping to create the potentials. We're helping to create the healing. It has to be consciousness put into action. We do that daily, every day, just by who and what we are. By smiling, by being kind, by being respectful, by caring about nature. You know, I told the fire thank you. I told the wind thank you. It's important to communicate with other consciousness than just us. To know that all of that is alive and intelligent, and it breathes. It does what we do, just in a different way. But to care, and this is not to be arrogant, but in a way give yourself a pat on the back for a job well done, because it matters. When you work with your anger, or you work with your relationships, or your emotions, or whatever it is, it's important. And it makes all the difference to all of us, because we do feel that butterfly when it flaps its wings. It ripples out, and we feel it. When each of us opens our heart, every time Jimmy plays, my heart opens up. He puts into his music such love that it immediately goes out and embraces all of it. That makes the world a better place. The world feels our love. There's more love every time that happens. That makes performing important. It gives you a reason to get up in the morning, to do whatever you're doing. You program computers, you're sending frequency out through those programs. You do anything. Your smile sends frequency because it has consciousness. So it matters that we go out and be the best that we can be. The most loving, non-judgmental thing that we can be. It matters. And I can't tell you all enough from my heart. Thank you for letting me be a member of this community, because it matters.